One day I felt like doing yoga from the back porch. So let's just get into it. This is not going to be a formal video or anything. This is just a flow that I did the that previous week in a couple of classes, and I felt that it flowed really well. So I thought, let me do it from the back porch. Sun was looking nice. It was a beautiful day. It was hot, but it was a nice day. Okay, I'm talking too much. We missed our one-legged mountain pose to warrior one, and now we are down in pyramid pose. Something to look out for when you're in pyramid is you want both shoulders to be the same distance to the floor. Sometimes one shoulder starts going further to the floor or farther to the floor, and we lose alignment. So we went back up into our one-legged mountain, and then we are now in warrior three. We are now. I'll just say we. I was saying I, we, whatever. It's me doing it. All right, back into one-legged mountain, and then warrior one, back into pyramid pose. I should have taken blocks out because blocks do help to extend your reach and to maintain your alignment. Right back into one-legged mountain pose, and now coming into dancer's pose. I think this is such a beautiful pose. It actually looks different on the two sides. A lot of people are different on the two sides, just generally, but for me, I've always noticed my dancer is different on both sides. But just it's such a graceful pose. Not just talking about for me, but just generally, it's a graceful pose. All right, stepping back. Well, first we went to one-legged mountain. Now back into warrior one. Coming back into pyramid pose. This feels really good for the hamstrings too. It's a nice stretch for back there. Right, stepping back into downward facing dog, coming into a plank, coming down into cobra, then up into up dog. Tucking the toes, pushing back into down dog, and then then coming up into mountain pose. And then I've switched the legs, so one-legged mountain pose, coming into warrior one, then coming into pyramid. And the sounds that you're hearing, there was a breeze going, and then you may hear some just outside noise, like maybe a car or something. But I hope you can hear the birds chirping. I hope I'm not talking too much, but you do hear the birds chirping because it was just such a nice Sunday morning. All right, so did a couple of poses. Now we're in warrior three. I always feel as though I think my back leg is higher up than what it is. Not that it has to be, look a certain way or feel a certain way, but it's interesting how what you feel like isn't necessarily what you look like. All right, coming into pyramid. Pyramid was always kind of the base for this sequence that I did. And coming back up into one-legged mountain. The sun was really interesting this morning because when I first went outside, oh, there it goes. So I'm cutting myself off to talk about dancers. You notice it looks different from the other side. But it is one of my favorite poses. Right, going back to what I was talking about with the sun. The sun was shining very brightly when I first went outside, and then some clouds came out. It wasn't cloudy, but the clouds were blocking the sun, but it was still such a beautiful day. So if you can get outside and do yoga outside, I strongly encourage it. Especially if you can hear nature, hear the birds chirping and all that. Okay, so coming into warrior two. I don't know what I was just doing with my fingers. I was leaning back to come into sun warrior. Do keep your head lifted. I often see people drop their head. And then coming into floating half moon. This is another pose where I wish I had a block because it does help to steady you and to extend the reach. Then just adding on to this feels like this is a great stretch for the hips, and it tests your balance a bit more. When I first did it, the class I took it in, they called it, what was it? I was going to say bird pose, but that doesn't sound right. Flower, that's right, flower pose. Right, coming back into Sun Warrior, then back into Downward Facing Dog. Obviously, I'm skipping a few poses. This is not, obviously, I'm not going pose by pose by pose. It should feel more like a conversation and a little bit different than some yoga videos. I thought it would just be a little different. All right, coming up into Warrior One, switching sides because I don't like turning my back, and we're going to be doing the Warrior Two and the side pose stuff. I have a little smile there because I always tell people you look so serious in class, and here I am looking serious. All right, coming into Sun Warrior, and do keep your head lifted. Sometimes people drop their heads back. And I had to adjust so that I didn't run into the table. So when you're doing yoga, make certain you're not going to run into the table or a plant. I was hitting the plant accidentally before. All right, so opening up that hip, testing the balance on this side. For what I was told it's called flower, but a lot of times poses have different names. Always remember to breathe as well. When people balance, they tend to hold their breath, so remember to breathe. Here in Sun Warrior again, stepping back in a down dog, coming down, coming up, tucking the toes, pushing back, jumping up, coming up to mountain pose, bring the palms together, taking the palms to heart center, and I am done. Thanks for watching. And remember to check out Wycart Fitness on Facebook and on Instagram. Have an amazing day. Bye.